डॉक्टर दीदी कहती हैं कि दुनिया के सबसे महंगे इलाजों में से एक होता है दांतों का इलाज। अब उम्मीद करते हैं कि हमें वो कुछ बख्श देंगे। दांतों के लिए पेट का स्वास्थ्य सही रहना बहुत जरूरी है। बैक्टीरिया वायरस वहीं से हमारे शरीर में प्रवेश करते हैं। दांतों की कैविटी कोई एक रात में नहीं बनती है, इसके लिए समय लगता है। इसके ये ना हो इसके लिए हमें कुछ ध्यान रखने पड़ते हैं। डाउन सिंड्रोम ग्रस्त बच्चों में दांतों की कैविटी, मसूड़ों का लाल होना, उनसे खून आना आदि समस्याएं आम हो सकती हैं। जन्मते समय से ऐसा हो सकता है कि कुछ जगह पे दांत ना आए या आगे पीछे आए। काट न पाना, चबा न पाना इन समस्याओं का एक सूचक होता है। पता चलता है कि ऐसा नहीं हो रहा है तो वो चीज़ को दिखाना चाहिए। दांतों के लिए शुरू से ही मुझे लगता है 2 या 3 महीने भी डॉक्टर दीदी बच्चे को दिखाया जाना चाहिए, तभी से उसके लिए। और दांतों को ब्रश करना बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है और सही तरीके से ब्रश करना बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। और इससे भी ज़्यादा महत्वपूर्ण है कि हम एक सही ब्रश का चुनाव करें, क्योंकि अगर सही तरीके से सही ब्रश किया जाएगा तो आधी समस्या सफाई की और कैविटी की इससे खत्म हो सकती है। बिजली वाले ब्रश का प्रयोग ना करें, कम से कम बड़े होने तक तो। और एंटी कैविटी माउथ वॉश और मेडिकल टूथपेस्ट का प्रयोग किया जा सकता है। बहुत सारी प्राकृतिक गतिविधियाँ हैं जो एक्सरसाइज की तरह काम करती हैं मसूड़ों के लिए और दांतों के लिए, जैसे कि कुल्ला करना, चबाना, थूकना, फूंक मारना। घर में बच्चों के, अपने दूसरे बच्चों के साथ या माता पिता ये प्रयोग कर सकते हैं अपने बच्चों के साथ। इसकी आदत उन्हें डाल सकते हैं। खाने की आदतें दांतों के लिए जो अच्छी रहें उसके लिए चिपचिपा या मीठा खाना न दें। रात में दूध पीने को ना दें तो अच्छा है, इसकी जगह पानी पी सकते हैं। रात में उठकर भी कुछ बच्चे दूध पीते हैं, वो भी ना करें। और बोतल से दूध पिलाना जितना जल्दी से जल्दी हो बंद किया जाए। मीठा खाना खाने के बाद पानी के लिए दें और सादा दूध शक्कर जो हमारे इंडियन फूड है वो खाने के लिए देनी चाहिए। बड़े हो जाने पर बच्चों को मॉल में ना ले जाएं, ना देखेंगे ना खाएंगे इस तरह का खाना। इसकी जगह पर उन्हें स्पॉट जो है स्पोर्ट्स की जगहें हैं या फिर पार्क्स हैं या खेलने की जगह हैं, वहाँ पर लेके जाएँ। और तालू को जो बढ़ाने वाली एक सर्जरी होती है, थोड़ा सा होता है, उससे स्पीच पे बहुत असर पड़ता है, इसलिए भी ध्यान दें।
So sugar is not just sugar, but any kind of carbohydrate is sugar. So try to use more complex carbohydrates, millets, oats. So go back to roots, as we call it. Now we move on to the most interesting part of today's session. It's a rapid fire round. So you will have all the questions directed to the panelists. Now please feel free to write whatever questions you would like to ask them, and please pass them on. I will address them as well. We have some questions that we will ask them. We'll be very glad to take any questions from the audience. Please write them in a piece of paper and send them across here. Is the outcome similar? Do they face similar situations? What do you see?
Outcome clinically,
The kind of problems that they encounter, the overall quality of life.
Children with mosaic pattern of chromosomes, they tend to behave better, or they respond to the therapies well, and they will have a better clinical outcome than the regular primary. Having said that, you cannot take this as a as a single statement, because this mosaicism can vary. Depends on how much amount of percentage of cells in each organ. So, to put it in a simple way, heart can be 90 or 10. 90% can be normal cells, 10% can be affected cells. And in brain it can be 10% of normal cells and 90% of affected cells. This mosaicism percentage can vary. Whatever we are seeing is only in the blood. So we are not seeing the tissue analysis for mosaicism. In blood it may be 40%, 60%. That may vary in organ to organ. So usually they behave better, their clinical presentation is better. They don't have much of complications, but not it cannot be applied for everyone.
We basically anticipate problems and do the screenings as according to the path code and all that we discussed to avoid problems. Okay, Dr. Prakash, what are the key immunizations that you recommend for children with Downs? We spoke about growth and development.
Yeah.
What are the key immunizations?
And the immunization schedule which we follow is Indian Academy of Pediatrics immunization schedule, which is the same for any other child. So the key important vaccinations which has to be given to a child soon after birth is the BCG, hepatitis B and the polio drops. Unless if there's a contraindication which you couldn't give it at birth, that can be deferred a couple of weeks and that has to be administered. And following that, the first dose of the DBT, the hip and the pneumococcal vaccination and the rotavirus is important. And that is 3 sets of vaccination at a month apart. So if you look at the vaccination schedule, when the baby is born, you would all get a vaccination chart, which is the same from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. So there's no difference. There are few additional vaccination which we give, but nowadays the government even is included in the government immunization schedule the pneumococcal as well as the rotavirus vaccination. So the first 6 months is the most critical part of vaccination schedule, and the vaccination comes down as the child grows. Then the next vaccination is at around 9 months, then 12 months, 15 months, 18 months, and 2 years. The vaccination is spread across different age groups. That's mainly because one, we know that these vaccinations are important, and at the same time, when the vaccination is given, it gives us the opportunity to see your child and also assess how your child is growing, how the nutrition is happening, and what are the milestones which are, the child is able to achieve.
So basically, we follow the Indian Academy of Pediatrics schedule. So all children get all the vaccines, but most important vaccines are pneumococcal and the influenza vaccine every year. So this is the take-home message. Next, what about this is a question for Dr. Shankar. Foot issues, someone has written this. The foot is inclined inwards. Is it a problem and what should one do? And they've already got an X-ray done for the neck. Should it be repeated? If so, when? And should high impact sport or trampoline be avoided in children with dogs? There are 2 parts of the question.
I'll first take the cervical spine question. Usually we don't do any routine screening procedure for the cervical spine instability. If there is any suspicion of any problem, X-rays can be done when the child is 3 years to 5 years period. But once you do an X-ray and the X-ray is normal, there is no need for regular follow-up unless the child has any problem. Participating in any high-impact sports, the risk in the children with the Down syndrome is as equal as in the normal population. But if they are going to be involved in trampoline or gymnastics or diving, it's better to have the neck examined before sending them to the kind of sports. We don't say that they cannot participate, they can participate, but the cervical spine instability has to be ruled out. The second one, the foot issue, usually in children with the Down syndrome, because the ligamentous laxity, the tendency of the foot is to go outwards. That is, like we say, overpronated foot. Seeing a foot turned inwards is very uncommon unless if there is any bony anomalies. So if that's the case, it's better to have an X-ray done to make sure there is no bone abnormality. Like a big toe can be turned in. Usually we have a gap between the big toe and second toe. So if that is more, then it will look like the foot is turned inwards.
Child's thyroid levels are normal, but there are symptoms suggestive of thyroid problems. What should one do at that time? The levels are normal. Maybe the child is putting on too much weight or is feeling very sleepy, got daytime somnolence, maybe cold intolerance. Should we treat or not treat?
So in general, we base treatment only on the blood test reports. The problem is that a lot of the symptoms which we think are related to thyroid are common symptoms. For example, children who are particularly entering the pubertal age tend to sleep a lot more because growth occurs during sleep. So they are more sleepy. So things like that, and weight gain occurs because of lack of exercise. So symptoms can overlap with non-thyroid conditions, and it's not uncommon for us to see normal thyroid. So unless the blood report suggests that there is a thyroid problem, we do not treat just the symptoms alone with thyroid tablets.
So we need to take thyroid tablets for life, as you prescribe?
Most often, all we are doing with the thyroid tablet is replacing a deficiency. Whatever your body is not able to make enough of, we are replacing with a tablet. There is nothing really that can be done to make the gland come back to working normally. Now, having said that, there are some people who have mild levels of thyroid underactivity in whom it may come back to normal on its own, not because we do anything. So, your doctor, your endocrinologist, or your pediatrician will regularly reassess the need for being on tablet. Growing children need thyroid very definitely. At least to the age of 18, 19, I would not consider stopping tablet. After 19 or 20 years, you can discuss with your doctor considering giving a trial without thyroid tablet to see if the thyroid is working normally. Sometimes, very rarely, I repeat, very rarely the gland may be working normally and thyroid tablet may not need to be continued, but most often the gland will remain underactive and tablet does need to be continued. Whatever you do, don't do it without asking and discussing with your doctor.
So the take-home message is, please don't self-medicate, stop medication without advice from your pediatrician or endocrinologist. If the levels look normal, it's probably because you're giving the medication. So once you stop it, things may regress. And as we said, thyroid can be important. So any of the panelists, they would like to speak in Hindi as well, that's also welcome. Another thing is, we spoke about spine instabilities. Now, what about if there is a head tilt? Is there any visual problem that contributes, Dr. Reiki, other than the spine? I have many questions related to the spine instability. I think Dr. Shankar has addressed it already. So, the take-home message on spine instability, if your child is going to get into sports, or some kind of activity, or there is a head tilt, make sure that you do a spinal examination. Regarding the head tilt, Dr. Reiki.
Okay, so this is an interesting question. There's a lot of parents, there are a lot of misconceptions about this issue. So when we see with both our eyes, sometimes our vision is superior. Either because there is a sort of a hidden squint, or if we have another condition known as nystagmus, where our eyes oscillate a little bit. So what happens is that if I look at you straight, I will see you reasonably well. To put a percentage to it, I may see you 50% as clear. But if I rotate my eyes to the up and right, just as an example, it could be anywhere in the 360 degree radius around you. Sorry, हिंदी में बात करता हूँ. तो सवाल ये था कि कई बच्चों का सिर क्यों टिल्टेड होता है. तो जैसे अगर मैं सीधा देखूं, मेरी नज़र बोलो 70% है या 60% है, बट अगर मेरी आंखों को मैं ऊपर और राइट साइड पे घुमाऊं, तो मेरी नज़र 90% या 100% हो जाती है. तो इसमें क्या होता है कि अगर बच्चे को, जैसे मानो मेरी उंगली को देखना है, ये ऐसे देखेगा. अगर उंगली में कुछ लिखा है, तो फिर वो बच्चे को अगर उसको पढ़ना है, वो ऐसे करके देखेगा. तो जैसा ही बच्चा ऐसा करता है, माँ उसको उनके सिर को सीधा रखता है. जैसे वो पढ़ाई करता है, उसका सिर कैसा होगा? स्ट्रेट में जो टीचर विल से सिर को सीधा रखो. अब वो माँ और टीचर को खुश करने के लिए सिर को सीधा रखें. तो उसको आप छोड़ दो थोड़ी देर के लिए, ऐसे ऐसे हो जाता है. तो यदि आप ये नोटिस करेंगे, तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि आँख खराब है या नेट खराब है. कभी कभी नजर मामला ज्यादा अच्छी होती है और ये आपको इंकरेज करना चाहिए, डिस्करेज नहीं करना चाहिए. हालांकि मानो अगर मेरी नजर ऊपर में ज्यादा साफ है और मेरे को खाना खाना है, अब मैं खाने को कैसे देखूं? मेरे को खाना देखने के लिए मेरे को मुंडी नीचे करनी है, वो नहीं कर पा रहा हूं. तो बच्चा क्या करता है, ये प्लेट को आगे पुश करता है ताकि अभी प्लेट आसानी से नजर आए. इसमें क्या होता है, जब वो खाना खाता है, खाना बीच में गिर जाता है, माँ आके प्लेट वापस डालती है, फिर बच्चा पुश करता है. इसमें क्या हो जाता है कि बच्चे को गुस्सा आ जाता है कि जो वो करना चाह रहा है वो नहीं हो पा रहा, और फिर वो खाना को फेंक देता है. और माँ बोलती है, 2 साल के बाद माँ के बोलती है बहुत पोअर ईटर. वो पोअर ईटर नहीं है, उसकी नज़र वहाँ पर अच्छी है. कईयों को लेफ्ट में ज़्यादा नज़र अच्छा है, कईयों को राइट में ज़्यादा अच्छा नज़र आता है. तो यदि बच्चा कुछ पोजीशन में जाए, आप उसकी फोटो लीजिए और हमें लीजिए, हम आपको बता देंगे आपने क्या प्रॉब्लम है. जैसे डॉक्टर भी बता रहे थे, कभी कभी मुझे ऐसे टिल्ट होती है, ये गर्दन का प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है, आंखों की भी प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है. तो दोनों को रूल आउट करके हम डिसीजन लेना है.
3 years boy नेशनल डाउन सिंड्रोम। क्वेश्चन है, आंखों में दोनों चीज़ें एक साथ सेंटर में आ जाती हैं, उसकी क्या वजह है?
मतलब आप बोल रहे हैं कि आंखें ऐसे नाक की तरफ आ जाती है, ये स्क्विंट हो जाता है। तो इसका एक कारण होता है कि बचपन से ही स्क्विंट है, मतलब आंख की अलाइनमेंट खराब है। बट मोर कॉमनली अगर बच्चे को +3 या +4 पावर हो, ये स्क्विंट आ जाता है। तो इसका ऑपरेशन नहीं करना है, सिर्फ चश्मा देना है। आप चश्मा देंगे, आंखें एकदम ऑटोमेटिकली सीधी होगी, बट आंखों का डिस्टर्बेंस है।
Thank you. Lot of questions on sleep apnea. Some is so that I go to the dental issues. My daughter keeps dribbling and secretes saliva continuously and has abnormal behavior. Can anything be done for this, Dr. Nidhi?
Definitely, ma'am.
With lip cuts, teeth, bruxism, or just grinding of teeth. So, can you elaborate on this?
So dribbling of saliva is generally because of the lower lip tone. So if we indulge in more of orofacial activities where the child is encouraged to keep the mouth closed at the neutral position. Neutral position is when the child is not eating, the mouth is just closed with the lips. Lips are closed, not teeth. They are not meeting, only the lips are closed. When we encourage a child with lot of orofacial activities, and make the child adapt to this pattern. So, see, I am also a parent of a child with Down syndrome, and any activity which is learned or repetitive over a period of time, so that it becomes a pattern in the brain, that our children take it up. So, at least for 21 days without breaking, and make it sustainable for 3 months. Your child will stop dribbling saliva. The second thing is bruxism. It is a very common problem in children with Down syndrome, but it can also be taken care of. Bruxism is not only because of dental issues, it is multifactorial. Major part is played by the dental and the TMJ, temporomandibular joint. So the child is not able to find a stable stop because the temporomandibular joint is in constant fight with the action of gravity. Gravity is pulling it down, but the child has to keep the mouth closed. So the child has to find a stable stop somewhere. The child starts grinding teeth. The second problem is a bite, because the bite is not constant in our children. So they start grinding to find somewhere a stop, because our teeth generally they tend to rest. They have to be in a resting position. This lower third of our face. See, only structure in our face is this TMJ, temporomandibular joint, right? So it is not supposed to be in constant activity all the time. Otherwise, the muscles will get fatigued. So the child want to keep it in a normal position, but again, the tone of the tissues and the muscles around the TMJ and the bite tissue, they complicate the process. And that is why the child is in constant habit of bruxism. Superimposed some of the behavior issues we see because somewhere the child is under stress. If the child is under stress or the child is not able to express, even we see when we are under stress, we tend to clench our teeth. Or the people who are doing heavy exercises, the gym goers, they do a lot of bruxism, so we give them mouth guard. So we have to see where we have to ease their stress. Either it can be sudden change in the environment. The parents can understand where the stress has come, because a visit to a dentist cannot pinpoint where the stress is. But a visit to a dentist can definitely highlight the problems in the bite or the laryngeal instability.
Dr. Rangarajan, my son's has a lot of self-talking and it has increased in the past few months. How can it be treated? I don't know the age of the child.
Self-talking itself is not it's not a symptom of any disease. If the child is doing that a lot, then try and listen to what's happening. Maybe the child does not have company to talk to. Isolation, most common reason. So try and put them in company, and if the self-talking comes down, excellent. Now, you can ask the child who he is talking to. Children have imaginary playmates. with whom they talk, discuss, play. This is not an illness, it's a perfectly normal thing. And they can do that despite having lots of friends and companions. I mean, like my daughter had 15 dogs in the house, all imaginary. Okay. And despite having a dog in the house, she loved these dogs. So she had 15 dogs. And she would tell, this dog is sleeping in that corner, don't disturb. No? I mean, it's interesting. There's nothing wrong in that. If somebody is talking a lot to himself and answering questions, and if you gently ask them, they say, no, you see, I hear a voice which tells me to get up, sit down, talk to me. You know, my dead grandmother is talking, you know, the God is talking, there's a booth talking from outside, you know, something like that. There would be other behavioral problems along with it. The child may be afraid, the child may be crying, you know, such things. So you kind of look at the thing in a holistic perspective. Just the fact that somebody is talking to himself does not make him mentally ill. But it happens very often when somebody is on stage, they talk to themselves.
So till what age is self-talk now? Can be any age?
Yeah, I just said some people on stage talk to themselves.
Okay. Many questions in relation to sleep. My son is 35 years old and cannot sleep properly at night. So would anyone like to answer that?
Challenge for that child, definitely. Sleep is one of the most important thing any child would wish to. So what is important is what is the cause for the sleep disturbance is what we need to assess. And that goes from basic examination of the oropharynx and then take it further. And generally we refer this to sleep study specialist. That is being basically done by the pulmonologist. And the child should be subjected to sleep study. They come out with a diagnosis of obstructive sleep apnea. Either it is due to the obstruction or it's just the physiology of that child itself has gone into that phase. Based on that evidence, there are treatment options available. And if the child has difficulty in oxygenating over the night because of the obstruction, and that is what it is causing the subsequent problems, these children have to be put on night CPAP machines. And again, it's a challenge how they are going to adapt to that. I think it requires a constant surveillance and adaptation to the new thing. And eventually, if they are successful, they enjoy that and they will probably do better. Anybody would like to add anything?
Dr.
Both
Shankar.
physical as well as mental. As sir said, you have to rule out the physical cause, particularly the ENT issues or pulmonary issues. If that is not there, 35 years, a person who is having sleep disturbance, obviously I will rule out the physical things first, then I will be
So the physical things would be an ENT, a good thorough ENT examination.
But then, to
And then rule out any thyroid issues,
yeah.
any other metabolic causes, and of course any depression or anything else. A lot of screen viewing also causes altered sleep. The blue light from the screens, so don't go to bed with your phones. Keep them away in maybe another room or far away from your bed. It again causes disordered sleep. And the circadian rhythm or the sleep rhythm is very important for the overall functioning. So good sleep leads to a healthy body and mind. So Dr. Shankar, what can we do to prevent orthopedic issues? Which activities of sports are helpful for children with Down? My daughter is having some walking issues. She walks on very high toes, so that she is not able to walk properly. We tried many types of shoes, but she walks the same way with high toes. Maybe on tiptoes is what I suppose. So what can we do?
There is no specific sports for children with Down syndrome. Like you treat the children with Down syndrome like a normal child. So there is no reason that the child with Down syndrome cannot participate in any particular sport. Okay. Only thing is when you put them in the contact sports, they are a little bit slow in adapting to those kind of sports activities. Because the children have a flat feet, you have to give a proper footwear. Especially when they are participating in sports activities. Like if you go to Nike and Adidas, they have come up with a special shoes for overpronated feet. I think ASICS has one. If you can Google it, overpronation shoes guide, then it will tell us what kind of a shoe the child will benefit from. So you go to the shop, you try two of the models and see which one suits better. So when they use these shoes and run and play, their activity, they even for 30 minutes, 45 minutes without any problem, they can do sports activities without any problem. Regarding the toe walking, this is mainly because of the tight heel part. This can be rectified only by doing stretching exercises. That's why we have to teach them to do regular squatting exercises.
Just to add something to this toe walking and heel walking, there has been some work being done on the concept known as yoked presence, where we actually make the child see through prismatic spectacles, which either lift the world up or lift the world down. And in certain cases where there is no orthopedic cause, it's actually more of a visual spatial cause that causes it. Giving yoked presence, certainly the child starts walking straight.
If any of you know Vedant's mom or dad are here, please go to the hall upstairs where you left your child.
Tests and protein tests in children with Downs. What are your thoughts on this? Is it necessary for muscle building?
Supplements. I think you're a better person to answer the question.
So, high amount of protein supplements leads to high creatinine levels. There is a sudden craze with many diets to just go on protein diets. So, I think this leads to a lot of increased creatinine. So, discuss with your pediatrician or your physician if your child is older before you go on such diets. It can lead to irreparable damage, so it's very important to keep a watch out. My 12-year-old son is hearing from birth but not able to speak a single word till now. What's the reason? Dr. Pradeep or Dr. Prakash, would you like to answer?
It's not talked at all.
Non-verbal. Non-verbal. Hearing is okay. It's not spoken. This is from the audience. 12-year-old.
We have to look for other comorbidities, particularly of this concentration, of this behavior.
Maybe autism
There are some hyperactivity associated with that. If that is there, it has to be treated together, either by occupational therapy along with that speech therapy has to be initiated. Or if it doesn't have any behavior issues, only the speech pattern, we have to look for local causes, done by any motor issues. And if that is not there, speech therapy will help.
Dr. Prakash, would you like to add something?
The most important thing is most of these babies have conductive deafness. You need to make sure that this is not just because of conduction of audio impulses and how the child has responded over the years. And of course, every child is mandatory to have a bar test done. And if it is being done, it's great. If it is not done, you need to rule out that this is the auditory sensory input is not being achieved to the child or it's not reached to the child. So that is the most important thing. And of course, based on that, there are fantastic speech and language therapies. Those are the children which has to be subjected to speech therapy. Of course, you need to rule out the local causes, which is already been mentioned.
So I think we're running short of time. We have many questions. We'll just try to do one question for each of the panelists. Then you can probably talk to them on the one-to-one session which we'll have at 2 o'clock. So this child has got self-smiling and preoccupation during COVID time. How to handle this, Dr. Rangarajan? Self-smiling and preoccupation, very withdrawn probably and engrossed in himself or herself during the COVID time.
Yes, isolation, loneliness, all these things have led to all such behaviors. Basically, spend time, try and engage the child, and if you still can't find that the child is, the child is still continuing to do that, you got to take the child to your pediatrician for a checkup, and then, if necessary, to see a psychiatrist for an evaluation. Sometimes this can be a symptom of depression or an early sign of schizophrenia or something like that. So, but it doesn't have to be that. So first you try, then if you are not succeeding, then take it to the pediatrician, and then if they see a psychiatrist.
Dr. Reddy, can a person with Down's syndrome be colorblind? How do we identify early?
So it's definitely possible for a child with DS to have color blindness, and it's extremely difficult to detect color blindness at birth. But in no way does it hamper their day-to-day existence. The only way it hampers is if you are going to become an engine driver or a train pilot or something where you need to see red and greens, etc. So we do have a test for it which is quite simple. It's called the Ishihara test. So it's basically numbers. So the moment the child can start identifying numbers, it's easier to do. There is another Ishihara test where they're supposed to draw a pattern. So these are basically colored confused dots. And a person who doesn't have good color vision can't see those patterns. So it can be done. But it does not affect vision per se in any way.
Dr. Jayashree, any specific diet when child is on L-proxin or thyroxine medication, anti-thyroid or thyroxine? Any specific diet to be followed in these children?
You don't need to make any changes in the diet from the thyroid aspect.
What about cabbage?
Yeah, I think it's a very common misconception that people should not eat cabbage or cauliflower if they have a thyroid problem. That's not true at all. Diet should be a normal healthy diet, with less sugar, less carbohydrates, and relatively more protein and fiber. You can have all vegetables. You should be having all vegetables. The myth arose because if you have a large amount of raw cabbage and cauliflower and broccoli, it may potentially lead to it contains some sulfur-containing chemicals which can interfere with thyroid function. But this is like if you have only cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli 3 times a day raw without eating anything else. That is not going to happen. So you can include all of these vegetables in your diet. You don't need to modify the diet in any way.
Point to add to Dr. Jayashree. There seems to be a new fad in using Himalayan pink salt. So I don't think there's iodine in it. A lot of problems we see cropping up now. Would you like to comment on it?
Yes, it is very important that we include iodinated salt in the diet. I think the problem in general is that unless we are careful about it, we eat too much salt. So we just need to be careful about the amount, the quantity of salt. If you do not want to take excess amount of table iodized salt because of some allergy or some perceived allergy, use a mixture of both. Make sure that you are having at least about 1 teaspoon of regular iodinated table salt every day. You are not going to get iodine from any other source in the diet unless you consume good amount of fish every day. So it is important that we include iodinated salt every day in the diet. At least to this extent, about 1 teaspoon. Another small thing I wish to say, particularly in Indian cooking, we have a tendency of adding salt at the beginning of the cooking. Iodine is a very easily destroyed chemical. Try to add the salt at the end of the cooking so that it is not destroyed by the cooking process. So at the end of the cooking, add the salt so that you retain whatever little iodine you're going to get from the diet.
Dr. Nidhi, what's the amount of fluoride that should be used? Do you have a recommendation on any specific toothpaste? You said about 3 years you should use a fluoridated toothpaste. Which toothpaste are non-fluoridated? Do you have a recommendation below 3 years?
So there is this Mama Earth toothpaste which is paraben free and fluoride free, and it is available freely or internet. It comes by that thing.
Last question to Dr. Pradeep. What is amniocentesis essential for every, suppose there is one child with Down and the parents have gone in for the second pregnancy, is it necessary to do an amniocentesis, which is an invasive procedure for the second child?
We have different indications for amniocentesis. Not all the families with a child with Down syndrome, previous child with Down syndrome should go for amniocentesis. If it is a pure trisomy 21, like I said, non-disjunction, 95% and more is pure trisomies, and the mother's age is less than 35 years, you can go ahead with the regular screening test for Down syndrome. If it is positive only, then you can go for amniocentesis. It is directly indicated in children who are having translocation karyotyping. Along with that, if the family member, father or mother is carrying. So if that is the situation, that is an indication for direct amniocentesis, do fetal karyotyping. Otherwise, if the mother is elder, so 37 years and older, we have to go ahead with, preferably go ahead with amniocentesis. There also, the elderly mother also, NIPS, non-invasive prenatal screening is available. You can take that or direct. So direct amniocentesis, fetal karyotyping for translocation Down syndrome with parents being carriers, not others not directly indicated.
So I hope you had clarity on a multitude of subjects. We're short of time, so all your other questions will be answered to be put up on the website, or you can just email. We will make sure your questions are answered. You can also email other questions to us. Regarding other characteristics like delayed speech or orofacial movements, we have a long session tomorrow with our other panel of experts, Sharanya, Sri Lakshmi, Mithula, Hema. All of them will be giving in-depth, intriguing, probably bullets on what to do on these various topics. So thank you all. I thank our panelists for this excellent session. A big round of applause to them. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it as much as you all did.
Thank you. My last request I would like to make is, these are chronic disorders like any genetic disorder. There will be so many information about alternative medicines. So one thing is, don't learn anything from the WhatsApp University. Better you consult your primary doctor, because you will be in desperation. I don't want you all to get exploited because of your desperation. That is my final request. Thank you.
So that means
good afternoon. I want to thank all the experts, my best friends, but they have been so good today, and I think they waited very patiently for 1 hour for you to finish your breakfast. You have wasted 1 hour. We have given you the program sheets on your arrival. You look at the timing, it says 9:30 we start. You come in at 10:30. You give us 300 questions. I am very upset because that is not the way you behave with such senior people who have left their practice and come to us. It hurts me to even say this to you. Your breakfast is important, you should time yourself. You should have been at breakfast at 8 o'clock, finish by 9 and come here by 9:15. Tomorrow, if you come late, I will not let you in. And tomorrow's session is only for you. Today's, I am past this. I don't need all this. I'm giving you the experts because you have to learn. Each doctor was giving you valuable information. Look at the number of people sitting here. Why? This is a conference. This is not a party. We have come here to learn. There are people who are suffering because they don't get the information. I am repeating it in the breakfast area. It's going to be 9:30. Finish your breakfast. But no, it was a joke. Don't take doctors as a joke. They will not treat you properly. It's because I am serious about timing. I want you to be serious. Because you cannot attend or go to an appointment with your doctors, even 2 minutes late, they won't see you. Am I right or wrong? Why did you take it for granted today that they are sitting on the stage and waiting for 1 hour? You know how much effort they have taken to leave their practice and be here? But give them a big round of applause for what they have done for us. Honestly, I cannot believe that we were just not there. And I would like you to do your one-on-one and give your questions there. The rest of your questions will be answered. But I am not going to stand there and say, come and tell me your problems, because this is your problem. Everybody comes afterwards and says, Rekhama, I need this answer. I bring the experts for you. And you did not give the respect. It is not done. And look at the audience. Where are they? I invited 150 parents. Today I am hardly seeing 25 sit here. The next one, the topic is so important, but if you are not going to allow us to have an audience who is interested, you give me so many questions at 12 o'clock when it is time for them to be leaving. You do it. I am just here to help you. I can only try to bring you together. This is not a party. This is a conference where valuable information is being given. I didn't have this opportunity, my friends. 40 years ago, even doctors used to say, go home, the child is dead. You have the luck. Look at the amount of positive energy they have given you. But yes, the choices are yours, lives are ours, your children are yours. Best of luck. Let's hope tomorrow you respond better, because if you come late, I close the doors. I feel serious.
Why this video is important? This is made by the organization I work for. Last year, when my son admitted in hospital and for a surgery of undescendant testes, and they said no, it's not covered under the insurance, and it got rejected by the corporate just because the insurance company has rejected it. As usual, I decided not to give up, and I started thinking about what is undescendant testes, what is congenital anomaly, and the reason was given it is an external congenital anomaly, and we don't cover it. And when I started talking with the doctor, surgeon, what is internal and external? I said, yes, there are two subcategories. When it is mentioned in the medical term, they say no. So for a medical insurance, if it's not based on the theory of medical, why the insurance company is rejecting the claim? That was my point. I asked doctor, can you please give me in writing? And doctor said no, because the hospitals have tied with the insurance company. And doctor will not give you in writing, otherwise there is an action on the doctor while you are doing it. Because insurance company, hospitals, of course they are taking care of ourselves, but they are running a business. They want to make money. They are not doing any charity or they are not open their organizations to support others. The doctor from Hyderabad who have performed the surgery, he agreed on the point what I am trying to explain him, but he said no, I can't give you in writing. I went to the WHO, World Health Organization, Indian Medical Council, and I come with the medical facts and I give it to the insurance company. File agreements within an organization first because it goes via organization if they are agreed. There was a discussion happened and they asked me, insurance company, they are coming with their expert medical teams on call, corporate team, and they asked me, do you have anyone to support you? I said, no, I think I am enough. And we have a call with the insurance company, with the corporate and their medical experts, and within the 5 minutes of time I proved that they are wrong. I give the evidence for what I received from WHO, I give the evidence what I received from Indian Medical Council, and I asked doctor also, they are an expert team, can you please give me in writing on your letterhead with your signature, so I will give it to the IIMS Indian Medical Council and get it verified. And I will also request the Indian Medical Council if the congenital anomaly don't have a subcategory why this doctor is saying it without any medical evidences. Can you please make sure to cancel the registration for this doctor? Immediately after saying no, you are right. And within 15 days I got the claim for the insurance. People are here struggling to get the insurance claim within India. I got the insurance claim when I went for a tracking at Mount Everest. There was a high risk, 100% that I am going to get the medical cover or there is going to be a medical emergency. I got the tracking cover for a finish when I went for a tracking, and that includes the airlift and the hospitalization of 5 lakhs USD. I think just my child, and he's prepared for a track. It's like any medical condition, well, yes, but how it matters. People are going for a track with a medical condition. They said, no, we cannot cover it. I said, stop. Would you able to give me the confirmation that there won't be any climatic change, there won't be any climatic disaster is going to happen? They said, no, we can't. And in fact, if it's happened, we are not going to provide a support. Well, exactly. If you can't, so you have to approve it. You need to cover it. I am not asking during the climate disaster time. I am asking during the normal time. If he is going, it should be covered. And they covered it for 14 days. And we completed within 10 days. Without any medical emergency. Also, before we start about the insurance journey, also I am working, the next plan is to get enrolled everyone. In fact, the people who have a medical condition, but they get an Ayushman Bharat scheme that covers 5 lakh, and we will make sure that despite of your financial background, everyone should be covered. I hope that will be done soon. Processing, pushing, writing to the concerned department, and soon we are going to file the IIDSC with the proper content in the board. So it will be in place and we don't need any other government national schemes than after 5 lakh is sufficient enough to take care of 1 year medical expenses. So insurance company, they have, there are 3 types. One is the individual One is corporate and one is government. You can ignore the government, it's difficult, it's very less support is there, it's hardly for a lakh. Though they include the therapists, but it won't happen, it's just 25 to 30,000. Individual parents can avail the individual insurance policies. Sometimes the representative asks if you have a medical condition, we don't accept it. So the point is the representative don't know what is medical condition. The representative is not the person who got the proper training and who is aware about the recent latest changes in the policy. So as per the insurance from the government, no insurance company declined the cover for everyone. So parents have to push for it, ask them, no, we need to get it. Let's see when it comes, when the insurance company rejects when it required, we will let them know how to work on this. But in the initial stage, today morning there was a person and he asked me, I checked in 4-5 companies, it didn't work. I called to an insurance person, could you please assist? He said, yes, definitely I will. He said, any problem? And there is no problem. If you talk about the medical condition, so it's not a problem, it's just a condition. And second thing, as per the law, it's already a part that everyone should get the cover. If your agent don't know, ask him to give me a call. He said, don't worry sir, I will get them covered. So we need to push them, we don't have to come back, we don't have to be always in a give up mode, no it's not happening, it's not happening. If you think that it is not going to happen. Corporate are the best. For me, my company, you know, it's not made by me, it's made by the corporate I work for. That is an international bank. When I raised this issue, they agreed on it and now they give the assurance that all the employees of the company will get the insurance cover of the X amount even if required 50 lakh rupees. And see, corporate can do that because they are giving the premium for thousands of employees. So if you request the corporate in case if it's rejected, ask them, request it, they will get it approved in an exception because there is an X amount every corporate put with the insurance company for the exception. We must know about it, we must talk about it. How many are telling the corporates to the employer that I have a child with a medical condition? If you don't tell, so don't expect any help or support from anyone. Corporate are easy to get the insurance for any medical condition. I get it first in 2019. That was the first time the insurance things come in my life and Avnish was admitted because of pneumonia. Insurance company rejected. I asked the reason. They said the child has a medical condition, Down syndrome. I said, so what? Will you know, we cannot consider this. I said, on what basis you are going to consider? They have asked the doctor to write it. This is not because of Down syndrome. Because we need to understand that there is no treatment for Down syndrome. Down syndrome don't cause any disease. Down syndrome is just a condition. So I asked doctor, can you please give it in writing? He gave it and we got the cashless insurance that time. 2021. After they rejected it, I came to my home, I started fighting for it within 15 days. So they have approved in the insurance, I got it. The next one I got it in 2022, this year. So I know how to deal with it just because I am doing something different. No, I am just trying to understand what is happening. What are the gaps? So the gap is the information. The gap is the effort that we are not putting in the right direction. We are in a give up mode. It's not happening because of a medical condition. So this is not correct. And trust me, if the insurance company is saying they have their own expert medical team, so don't believe on them. In fact, their medical team don't have the knowledge what the we parents are having about the medical condition. If you put an effort, if you just read about it, and definitely you will get the claim. And also there is a suggestion for the organization, the parents group. Still you see, no, it's not happening and we are facing a lot of trouble and issues. So in every state, there is an organization. In fact, every district we have the organization who are working for various medical conditions. So in every state, choose an organization or a parent group. 100 parents can pay a premium of 10,000 rupees at a start. That collects almost 10 lakh rupees per year. And if you can utilize those for that 100 parents. If it's not utilized, whatever the remaining amount is there, you can put it in the corpus. Again, the next day you can collect 10,000 rupees from the 100 parents, getting more or less. And if the corpus is getting increased, so you can reduce that amount as well. So this is a suggestion for the organizations who are working. And we need this, of course, in every state. If not possible, so any of the organization who is leading from the center, they can do that. And there is no problem, there is no legal challenge in it because we are doing it for a purpose and organization can do, parents group also they can form a trust or society and they can do that. So they need to just get 100 parents or 50 parents initially they can start with. Make sure that the corpus amount is getting increased and the number of parents, the premium they are paying first year is 10,000, that can remove 9, 8, 7 based on the amount in corpus, based on the number of parents are there. So in that way, we can also support the parents who are in need of a medical treatment or financial support. This is from the insurance point of view. Trust me, this is not a difficult task. It is just the way we are not approaching rightly. If you approach it, if you understand it, what we are asking for, nobody will deny the insurance cover for any child. The next is this, and in fact for the insurance company, you don't have to submit a disability certificate. You don't need to give any medical reports as well. If they ask, you can mention it that the child has this medical, but it is not required. Even if it's not, even if you don't mention it, that's also it's fine. In corporate, I haven't mentioned anything until now. The next we have the disability certificate. This is also very important. The questions parents have on the disability certificate. First is the category. So there is a separate Down syndrome comes under a subcategory of intellectual disability that changes or this information is given in RBD Act in 2019. I will ask the person to show you what is that act and what it talks about. There is a reservation also in the government jobs. There is a scholarship as well for the students. It's mentioned there. You can use it and you can ask for their rights and the support. So disability certificate is important. Unfortunately, most of the parents, they are not applying or they are applying because of the problem, because of the time it takes, because of the process. They are not prefer to take it. So it is important because we don't have a data. At one side we say maybe 1 in 800 we are having a child with TH, maybe 1 in 1000, but on the ground we don't have to show to the government these numbers because government track through the disability certificate. There is a UDID, Unique Disability ID, which is same to identify the number of people who have the medical condition. So please go for the disability certificate. Second thing, what person we are going to put in the disability certificate. So for the ID, ideally there should be any person. If it's intellectual disability, it's an intellectual. What person you are looking for? So that change is also required to be if it's ID, so there won't be any person. They are doing some assessment based on their IQ. So make sure that the percentage should be of 50 or more. So you can avail certain benefits in terms of railway reservation, in terms of the income tax benefit, and also in a Special Olympic Bharat, the child get an opportunity. It's 40 plus, but make sure you will get it 50, so there won't be any challenges. And let's see if the government will remove the bracket of a disability percentage for the people with intellectual disability until they don't have any physical challenges as well. And the corporates, we can take an initiative with the corporates, explain them what is the need. In fact, there are various parents, but they will talk about openly. But anybody who is working with the international, with the MNCs, they can reach these points. The corporate can make sure that all the support for the medical condition, people with medical condition or their children are in place.
Except that we have one child with a medical condition and disclosed during the insurance. At that time, the premium was higher, will be higher or lower?
Same. Premiums are not based on the medical condition. Of course, the age, but not based on the medical condition. So
because in some insurance, smoking and some other things are maybe affected premium also. So medical condition can affect or not affect?
I didn't see the medical condition would affect. I only seen the terms of age criteria for the corporate non-affection.
Do you have any guideline regarding the medical inclusion for Down syndrome, the specific medical conditions? Guideline, get rejected or not rejected on which basis?
Yeah, the Indian Commission, the documents come under CIR, so they don't reject any person who have a medical condition to cover it, and the premium should be seen.
It is mentioned in IIDA also. This is insurance.
Yes. If it's comes under the government that department, so yes, it should be.
Thank you.
Can I just share my points? See, we all have to be mindful of the fact that first and foremost, all our children must have a disability certificate wherever you are. One. Two, Government of India's schemes do have early intervention centers set up supposedly in each district. In some of the districts it is done beautifully, others are still in the process of being set up. Wherever they are done with the world-class standards. So it's for us local parents to pursue it with the local authorities, maybe the district collector. And when it comes to IIDSC, as far as insurance is concerned, when the children grow up and they do need the cover, it's sort of as of now in the grey area, very frankly, even though we have RPD Act, right, so Person with Disabilities Act, which says that there should not be any discrimination. We have to use those, number one, we have to study these acts. How they apply to our children in different situations, whether it is school or further education, skills development, employment, and other things, insurance, health related aspects. So this is where we all parents need to be alert and follow it up. Central governments can make the policies and laws. State governments are supposed to implement it, but the footprint has to be at the district level.
Thank you.
So this is to be done.
बहुत अच्छी इन्फॉर्मेशन आपने दी और अनिल सर से आप कोई भी इन्फॉर्मेशन इस तरह की सरकारी सुविधाओं से मिलने वाली अलग से पूछ सकते हैं हमसे। अब आदित्य जी आपको कुछ दिखाना चाहते हैं, वहीं से बताएंगे और आपके अगर अभी भी कोई क्वेश्चन आंसर है तो उसके बाद आप आदित्य जी से आपके सवाल।
और what they have put in the Right of Person with Disability Act for the Down syndrome and also the PIL I have raised. So I put up a point that every child, this is regarding the social security, the disability pension. So if you have a disability certificate, everyone will get the disability pension as well. Every state have a different policy, so that number is not high. But the point is that is our money. If you are not taking it, it is not going to utilize it to the government. And every year they are increasing the budget for the disability because it's not utilizing it. We are not giving the insurance claim in Iramaya. There are hardly few thousands of claims from 15 states. I don't have the states. But yet, from the state I am, there are hardly thousands. So we are not support what we are getting. So disability pension is also there. I think in Delhi it's 2,500, and that is the highest area. Maybe it is going to 3,000 per month. So make sure that everyone will get it. Current condition is after the age of 6, every child will get the disability pension. I have put up a point in my PIL in 2020, the decision come in 2021, and they have taken that to also include the people, to also include who are between 0 to 6. Because if the medical condition is by birth, so why to wait until 6? There is no logic behind it to wait until 6 if you are getting the disability certificate immediately after birth, when the medical condition is proved. So that is, and also on the social security amount, it is clearly mentioned in the Right of Person with Disability Act. You can see in the last line, scroll down. So it's mentioned that there is a para 24. Every state will decide the social security amount that should be higher in whatever the schemes they are running in the states. So it is clearly mentioned in the para section 26. So if suppose they are giving 1,500 or 1,000 rupees for other schemes in states, so that disability pension should be higher to this. So these are the 2 points I raised. Still I am following up with the government because within a 2 hearing in the High Court Madhya Pradesh, I got the judgment in my favor. I had submitted the document and still chasing to the government to make this happen. So hopefully we will get it. Good decision sooner later on, this judgment can be referred in other states to implement it. The variance I raised, I got a response from the PMO office and they are putting this changes what they have made in the RTP Act. This comes in 2019. So they clearly mentioned that there is a intellectual disability will come down, DS will come under the subcategory of intellectual disability, and also there is a reservation in government and scholarship benefits are there for them. So these changes are already there, but we are not aware. The information is not circulated. So if we are aware, we can claim it. Thank you. No, you are the lucky one that you already have. By your destiny. I was unfortunate, but I didn't have to have adopted one.
I think you are a notch above than us. So I would like to appreciate you for this point. I would like to ask you a question like we talked about the individual policy and the corporate policy. So what about the inclusion of Down syndrome kid in the already running family floater policies? What do you say on that?
If there is a new member, they can enter.
So we don't need to, as there was a question, I'm not trying to repeat it, but as you said that about the mention, we have not mentioned any kind of a Down syndrome in the policy. We just included a bit on that.
That's it.
So by God's grace, if we need someday, we can go and follow what you have done in your past.
Correct, because this is a medical insurance cover you want. That should be based on the medical plan. If the representative will come and they say no, you are not going to get the policy, right? But this medical representative is a doctor, he is a concerned person who know about the medical condition. No, he is just simply saying no because what he had heard maybe. So it's not required. At the time of if it's required and claim, see, we need to understand and tell them first straightforward that no treatment for DS. We don't have, right? This is because of any other problem and that can be covered in the insurance.
No, in most of the cases, whenever we go for claim processing, so the entire process is handled by the TPA, right? So the entire details need to be provided to the TPA and these details are forwarded to the, I think, as per the IIDSC norms. So in that kind of process, do we, if they ask something, do we need to provide the disability certificate, all these documents?
No, it's not required. No. If they ask for it, you can say no about it. You can inform the TPA, this is the IIDSC guideline, go and read about it. This is your job, you must know what are the latest happening in the street. You have to be very straightforward and you have to be confident.
One more thing, when you talk about this,
to save the person who needs the insurance. Like, I got a call from Kerala where the child had pneumonia. And pneumonia anybody can get, but they refused to give the insurance. The parent has been crying. DSFI sent the money, but that's not the point. All the surgeries we did during the COVID times, we did it to DSFI. Now we will ask Aditya to help us because the newer parents need that support. They are already cracking up. When you have no, you're on a low, how will you get the confidence to go fight with the insurance, which first of all denies you straight away? Am I right or wrong? Yes. There is a very big issue here. If the parent stands there and says, like, okay, Aditya is very confident and he's filing PILs all the time, okay? Iska to kaam hi hai PIL. My point is that we need somebody as strong as him. So we want Aditya to promise that if we have an issue, he will come and stand next to us and do it for us. No. State to state you have to travel. Okay? Can you do it? Nobody stays. Say yes, Aditya.
So, it's not about yes or no. Why I am here, I can fight until I can. But the point is, I don't want to fight alone. I want to fight with you all. I can travel, I can do the job, I am ready to accept. But the point is, what Nikama said, you people are come here to enjoy, why you are not sitting here? Everything we are coming just for this room. People are coming here for this room. The information used to get. It is not about you fighting for anyone, but are you going to show me the same passion? You are going to learn, you are going to understand. If yes, definitely I can. That this is the reason I am here and this is what the purpose of my life.
So what I can do with a person like Aditya, I normally use the resources I find a person can give me, I will take it. So I am a person like that. That's how I build the community. If you have 10 parents in your state who need it, please call it. We will then we can get together and actually empower those people. Those 10 should fight for the next 10.
In Maharashtra state, if you want the one-point contract for fighting or whatever assisting it, I am there.
Okay, so we
So in our assistant, you can count on me. You want to fight, you will fight out the best will educate the parents. But one question I just want to know, there is a lacuna in medical thing. They say pre-existing medical condition. But my question to you was, always the insurance company asks us, who do you have, for anyone, not just for this kid, for typical parents or typical person also, do you have pre-existing medical condition? On that ground, they deny. So that is where the lacuna, they are using this lacuna. So how do we fight that lacuna? If you could just give a little bit idea on that.
I can answer actually this one. We are the four which is my daughter Yati. She is a special child. So after your session, I thought to add her in the ICSI Lombard, and I declared that this is the Down syndrome and we wanted to enroll her. Initially they said that we don't enroll, but what the basis is why you cannot enroll it. After putting a lot of effort and just persuading for 15 days, they asked for the documents. Okay, what conditions she is having, what is the last when she was admitted for this one. All the details when I given, say issued, and now we are 4 members are ICSI Lombard, personal health insurance enrolled for the 10 lakhs. So this is the one I think everyone can persuade and they can take it. So that is my example.
See, there is a clause, these forms are there when there was not inclusion of the medical condition. They were changed it, right? Like you can see, so even if you put it, if you just like clean up the checkboxes, well, I don't think they will say no to for it. Because in the IRDA, it's there in the system, you cannot deny insurance to anyone. Even for the birth defects, there is a condition still there is. We are going to make sure that we have that way to remove that. For they are giving the cooling time of 2 or 3 years that if somebody has a birth defect and they are coming for a surgery, so for a treatment, and the insurance is not covered until 2-3 years. So yes, that condition is there for the birth defect, and it is the birth defect for the new child, and for the adult, there is the existing medical condition.
Can I answer that question now? Okay, so there is two circulars in 2020 by IIDSC to all insurance companies where they have said that no insurance can be excluded based on disability. Because of that circular, now insurance companies, first is if any insurance company verbally, says no, please ask for a written response. No company can give you written response because the circular clearly says that they have mentioned in intellectual disability, genetic disorders, they cannot permanently exclude it. Second, they cannot exclude insurance just based on disability. So any parent who is not able to get insurance, pursue with the insurance company and take a written response. My view and I have spoken to some of the parents, the moment you ask for a written reply, they issue you insurance. Okay, so this change has already come, it has been made by IIDSC. There are 2 circulars of 2020. You send those circular to insurance companies, and the moment they will start issuing the insurance because they cannot exclude it now. That change already has come.
So we can do me a favor, we can take the names of all the parents who are the fathers, because I have a fathers meeting this afternoon. I would like all the fathers to create a group where we can, immediately call on you and immediately get the insurance because you guys are already in it.
And second point, insurance form, whatever it asks, please disclose everything. Everything, if it existing, your child has a Down syndrome, please include it because insurance is a contract. If you exclude anything, insurance is issued, the company can deny the claim. It is known as suppression of facts, and that's why if you know your child has Down syndrome, include it. But at the moment of taking insurance, this was not diagnosed. Fine, he will be covered later on. There is no disclosing in that. But when you are taking an insurance, kindly disclose it. We already have cases where insurance companies have denied and court has upheld those cases because it was a suppression of fact. So do disclose it.
Yeah, I did get a number of persons who had the voter links then because of this. Yes.
मेरा क्वेश्चन इसी से रिलेटेड है.
We have exactly 5 minutes.
Sure. So quick one on pre-existing condition. अगर मेरा प्राण हेल्थ का इंश्योरेंस है फैमिली मोटर, बट मैंने शुरुआत में जब 4-5 साल पहले लिया था I wish to disclose as a Down syndrome. I did not have to use it, but can I go back to insurance and disclose that information so that they cannot deny it later date for pre-existing condition?
IIDA has already issued a letter, so it's not required. At the time of renewal, you can mention it. And even when you go to the court, there are always two things. One, how you are approaching and what facts you are. Court is, they give the judgment only based on the facts. And trust me, they are here to support you. If you have evidence, if you have a proper facts, nobody can deny whatever the condition is there. So, of course, I don't want to contradict. If you can, definitely declare it. Even if you can't, so nobody can say that it's not covered because you haven't done it. So it can be done. It's all the matter of fact, the information you have.
Alright, yeah.
I got insurance for my son for last 25 years. He is covered for 5 lakhs and we are also paying. So it was disclosed long back from IIDSC company. And also he is employed for a company and covered him under the group Medicaid. At that time, no such declaration information required. Group Medicaid requires only know the gender as well as date of birth. So that we have covered in claim returns. I got one suggestion because getting all this disability certificate this is troublesome for every parent. Like in Bangalore, we went to Ninans. Number of times you have to go and knock that door, doctor hai, doctor nahi hai, aa jao, kal aa jao, and all that. So through DSFI, can I propose, because if you go under organization, it will be more effective. Like in Aadhaar, there is no provision to mention that he is a disabled child or whatever is there right now. If we mention, half of the problem is solved because Aadhaar should be accepted at any level. Can we make under the basis of Down syndrome or federation, put it in Aadhaar so that the parents are saved from running around to get that disability certificate. This is my suggestion. Thank you.
I think Anita would like to add on that because I think the disability certificate has got so many implications. It's not just on one basis that we're asking you to get that. I also did not want to take the disability certificate till I suddenly found out I cannot become the guardian without a disability certificate. So even to open a trust fund or to have anything, I need a disability certificate. There are so many other points in the disability certificate which benefit a lot of parents. So yes, it is difficult. It was difficult. In Tamil Nadu, it is not. But in some states, they're still having issues. Am I right, Mike?
Yes. See, your point is well taken. Unfortunately, we being a federal country, federal government, a lot of things by virtue of the constitution are the responsibility of the states. And that is where there are some gaps of implementing UBID card issuance process as well as Aadhaar card. So the whole idea is to work around a centralized database, but your suggestion is valid and it has to be done sooner than later. But then we will have to wait. So no, in the meantime, all of us, again and again I am repeating, for children up to the age of 5, you will get a disability certificate which is about a developmental delay. It is not confirmed to be a disability. After age of 5 or 6, you will get a permanent disability certificate through UBID card. Please follow up with your local health department, district collectorate, disability department and get it done soonest for your benefit. All this you will follow. One question here.
मतलब सभी स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स का इशू है कि 50,000 से ऊपर का 50,000 से नीचे कोई भी एक लिमिट बना दे। जिस तरीके से कोई लिमिट बनी हुई है उसी तरीके से आधार को हम इस बेस पे नहीं दे सकते। ये हम कोई सजेशन किसी को नहीं दे सकते हैं कि उसमें आधार बेस इस चीज को लिंक किया जा सकता है, क्योंकि जो गरीबी रेखा एक बनाई हुई है हर एक स्टेट की अलग अलग है। इसी तरीके से कोई भी डिसेबिलिटी है उसके लिए भी एक लिमिट है, वो स्टेट वाइज अलग अलग है। तो इस चीज को उसमें ऐड नहीं किया जा सकता, ये मेरा सजेशन है।
Two topics to be discussed. Yes, there are topics, and because of certain technical problems, we have to pre-book a lecture of a doctor today. So we will be having two lectures right now. We have Dr. G. Ajora with us. She'll be talking about comorbidities with the diagnosis of Down syndrome, and we also have Dr. Nilesh Jain with us, who will be talking about cancer awareness. Can I request all the resource persons to be on stage?
Can we welcome by the organizers? So just coming to the comorbidities in Downs. So next slide. So as we can see here, when we say Downs, there is sometimes it's just a like stigma that okay, how these children are they challenged? But as you can see, these are very delightful kids. And actually, in one of the pictures, you can see that they are really capable of doing lots of things by themselves. So, children with Downs, they can actually, with a little bit of learning, they can do most of the things by themselves. Given that they are taken care of in the early intervention and in the preschool period, there are special education is given, then actually these children can do most of the activities that all the other children can do, like talking, walking, making friends. They can develop their skills, they can develop their potentials. Just they need some support from the parents, from the society, and early intervention, and all this can help the children to really achieve their skills. So, these children can learn to take part, read, write, with the support from their parents, from the schools, from the special education. So, now just as everyone of you might be knowing that Downs is a genetic anomaly of the chromosome 21, where there is a application of chromosome 21. There is no reason to believe that parents are in any way responsible for this, because there is no known cause is known for this. It is sometimes associated with increased maternal age, but that is just an association, it's not a necessity. The other thing is that it cannot be cured, but there are lots of things which can be done, and with the awareness now, just like we are attending this conference over here, there are lots of things which these children can be trained and they can reach their potential and do really great in life. So now coming to the comorbidities, mainly as you can see that the common things which we normally have to make sure when we encounter a child with this syndrome is that at the very when they are born, there are some specific features which can lead to the diagnosis, and then there are genetic tests which are done which confirms the diagnosis. And so once you have the diagnosis, parents are really worried that what exactly they are expected, what they should see, that what can be occurring or what they might be facing in this. And this is just an initiative to show that what things can you have to look after. So the comorbidities that can be there are like heart defects. So it's very, I mean, it's not that all the children will have it, but it's a common thing which can be associated in Downs. So they can have congenital heart defects, of which one of the, which is called IIDSC is a common one. And that's why they need a regular checkup with the doctor and also a screening test like echo to rule out any heart defects. And if anything is suspected, then the cardiologist need to see and it can be taken care of. The other things are like the intestinal problems. So constipation is one of the common things that can be associated. So they need some, these are the common things, but if you just take care of them, then it can actually help the children to improve their life. The other things are like celiac. Then usually you can, I mean these problems are not necessarily present in all the children, but, and also their degree of severity can be different. It can vary from mild to moderate or severe. So vision problems like cataracts or nearsightedness, long-sightedness, these are the other things. Hearing problems, hearing problems. So you need to see the specialist from time to time. The hearing test is done at birth, and if there are concerns at all about the hearing, then always seek the specialist advice. Others are like thyroid problems, learning problems. So again, as I said, that learning problems vary from mild to severe, but with special education and early intervention, they can achieve their potential and learn the skills to live almost independently or actually at least semi-independently. Then there can be recurrent infections like bronchitis, pneumonia. So if at all these children face any cough, cold, then always seek advice from your doctor. And then since I'm a pediatric oncologist, I would like to talk a little bit about leukemia. About the other problems, just a regular follow-up is must about the hearing and health problems, vision problems, regular heart beating. So these are the things which really need to be screened and checked from time to time. So one of the extra copy of chromosome 21, there is thought of it that there is some association because it has been seen that children with Downs have an increased incidence of malignancies. And malignancies specifically it's the leukemia. The solid tumors are not that common, or actually there is no increased risk of solid tumors in Down's children. But there has been an association with the increased risk of leukemia. So in about 2.8% of children with Downs, they were diagnosed with leukemia compared to the 0.05% children who were not Downs. So there is an increase, about 10 to 20-fold increase of the incidence of leukemia in Downs. 60% of malignancies are the leukemia, the ALL, and of which the 97% were in less than 15 years of age. As I said, there is a 10 to 20-fold increase in the incidence of leukemia in Down's disease. And they also, especially the leukemia is of two types usually, the acute lymphoblastic ALL and the acute myeloid AML. So the AML is of a specific variety usually that we see in Downs. It is called as the change which is seen as AMDL-M7. It's just a category of it. And fortunately, it has been seen that the treatment of AML, it responds better than the non-Down syndrome children. They show a better rate of cure. But it is not the same in ALL. In ALL, the toxicity of the drugs is more likely to be increased. Now coming to a common condition, not common but it is quite commonly seen actually in the newborn with Downs. It is called as the transient leukemia of the newborn. So usually when they are born, there could be an acute increase in their white blood cells and they can have the leukemic changes. And this could have a spontaneous regression, but 1 in 4 children can also be severely affected. And if it is so, then they need a special treatment. And also, even if they spontaneously regress, there is a risk that later in life they can develop leukemia. So usually now it's a recommendation that all the children with Downs at birth should have a CBC done and should be screened for this particular disorder. So just talking of common symptoms of leukemia, so all the children with, not Downs or anything, but even in normal children, these are the common things that we see, like a lump, swelling, unusual paleness, anemia, like a rashes on the skin, excessively tired, exhausted, or if they have the unexplained limp, any unexplained swelling in the body. So these are the common symptoms that we need to look for, and specifically in Down's children it can be difficult because sometimes the parents might think that this is something normally that can happen in the Down's child, but parents are the best people to know their children. So if you see anything that is unusual, or if it is persistent, or if it is prolonged, then always seek the expert help to make sure that there is nothing extra. It should be further investigated, or is it something just a common ailment at that time? So these are just the same. I was talking about the persistent aches and pains, the unexplained weakness, and all other symptoms. So the take-home message for my talk today is that all the children with Downs have a great potential to learn, and they can live a life happily and independently with some support given from the society with the parents in the form of early intervention and special education. Secondly, regular follow-up and screening is must. So now with the increased awareness, I think it's really imperative that the parents take right in the beginning, they go to the doctor and get their children regularly screened. If there is any unusual symptom that is present, do contact your doctor because you know your child best. Then awareness and early recognition of symptoms obviously will lead to early interventions and early management, which can increase the chances of cure and survival of that particular problem. So remember, right care at the right time by the right team. This is the thing that we really need, not only in doubts but any type of problem.